If I can be honest with you, we're drowning in a sea of regurgitated information, and yet we are starved and craving original insight and wisdom. See, if you're a creator, whether you post content to grow your personal brand, your business, or another cause that you stand for, you know that creating unique angles on unique ideas is becoming a near impossibility. While you may have had an edge with novelty information that was once paywalled or gatekept, living in an infinite information era in 2025 onwards is just no longer an edge. Rather than taking the popularized concept of stealing like an artist and just becoming a carbon copy of a carbon copy of a carbon copy, you've actually got the gold sitting right in front of you based on the very customers, clients, or students you're already serving. This is defensible, this is verifiable, and this is unique to you. See, when your content is shaped by the exact themes, patterns, and language that those that you serve are asking you in real time, that becomes a defensible source of ideation that no one else can tap into. And even if they try to replicate the same script and the same ideas that you have, the source will always come from you and what's happening in your world. And so by the end of this video, you'll have gone from having no idea of what the next 10, 20 or 30 posts are and feeling like you have to make content up on the fly, to having an infinite content engine that is fueled by every single conversation, transcript, or Q&A you're having with those that you serve, all while building a defensible edge that cuts through the noise and scales your authority. I'm going to walk you through the exact step-by-step process that I've plugged into a 7-figure online education business. But regardless if you're a coach, a mentor, or educate and serve others in whatever capacity, this is definitely applicable to you. Now, if you're not convinced that extracting or mining ideas from the conversations you're having is worth it, I want to give you 3 reframes before we dive into it. Number 1, it's already validated. If people are asking you in real time, this isn't guessing up what you think is in your avatar's brain and what's keeping them up at night at 2 a.m. This isn't what does AI or ChatGPT think. This isn't necessarily Google Trends, which are just a macro snapshot of what everyone's thinking, but it vets down to all of those that represent your existing dream clients, students, or avatar. If they're asking you questions in real time, it is a signal or a proxy for what others are most likely thinking. Those that are in a similar position to them that you are best suited to serve. Number 2, you build authority that can't be faked. There are so many individuals that, as I said, are scraping or stealing like an artist. But if you can frame every single hook or opener in your content as saying, on a call my team had last night, on the hot seat call that I had with 30 members of my community, just came off a call with a client and here's what they asked me. That is a defensible reframe that no one else can have. They can try use the same words and dance with the same ideas, but unless they're on the exact same calls or conversations, they can't pretend like as if they're the authority. Third, and this one's probably my favorite, it is an indirect but very powerful way of flagging or signaling to those in your audience, potential leads or prospects, that you have a paid service, that there is a way to work with you. Regardless if it's digital products, one-on-one, group coaching, or cohorts, whatever it is that you do, you are planting the seed and letting people know that if they want more help down the line, you're someone that's already helping other people do it. See, something that I've now observed after working with hundreds of creators in the Time to Build program is that so many of us struggle to actually let people know that we teach the thing that we show we're very good at, that we actually help other people with it. We have so many talented creators across all sorts of niches, all sorts of interests. But when you actually look at their social media profile and you just watch 1, 2, 3 pieces of content, there is no indication or no signal that they actually have services or products that help people get the outcome. And yet they're wondering why they're broke or struggling with monetization, as if just randomly posting every single day is all of a sudden going to lead to someone just proactively DMing or emailing them and being like,
"Hey John, I'm assuming you have an amazing program and I'm just going to transfer $5,000 into your account for a 3, 4, 5-month coaching program."
People do not operate like that. Most people on social media are operating on about half a brain cell. So if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Assuming that you've bought in and you haven't clicked off this video by now, I'm going to show you step by step the process that we've installed to make this happen. So what you can see right now is a recommended AI note-taking app. Now, at the time of this recording, this is my recommendation. I'm not affiliated in any way, but I love this app, not only because it's one of the most highly rated and multiple award-winning ones out there, but it's also free and, as they said, free forever. There's plenty of others out there though. It could be Firefly, TLDV. There are so many at the time of this recording, but I hope that whenever you're watching this in the future, Fathom is still doing their thing because this one actually rocks. So download Fathom because it works with all of the major video call platforms, whether it is Zoom, Teams, or Google Meets. It will automatically add itself onto each of your calendar meetings and take live transcriptions and summaries after your meetings. Obviously, you can upgrade to the paid plan, but you only need the free plan to get started. And on the free plan, it integrates with other apps. Some apps need you to upgrade to a paid plan in order to allow your integrations to work, but I love that this one doesn't have it. Or just make sure that whichever one you do choose to go with is able to integrate with other apps. That is, it can communicate or send information back and forth. Now, in our case, we have a weekly membership option for students that have completed our cohort, and it's called the Builders Club. And every Wednesday, it's essentially a Q&A deep dive where students come with their data, their challenges, and they workshop challenges in real time with Tom, the founder, and also my good colleague and good friend. Now, as you can see from these calls without diving into it, Fathom will then pull a transcript based on the conversations back and forth. And as I said, the magic happens not just because of this transcript, because that would take an ungodly amount of time to mine through it, but because we want to integrate it into a workflow that can automatically extract everything from it on our behalf and then give us a summarized snapshot of exactly what was discussed. Now, for this, I'm using Zapier, but there are other tools out there such as Make or NA10, depending what your secret source is. All that's important is that you have an account that's capable of integrating with that AI note taker you've chosen to go with. But I wanted to show you an actual example. So in this instance, the trigger that we have is that every time a new transcript is detected, that is, it comes up and it pops through, we'll then filter by making sure that it matches the conditions of Builders Club, because there are a lot of other calls that we have within our community, but specifically from Builders Club calls where the entire call is a dedicated Q&A, we want to filter for that. Now I have a few more terms over here. Date and time is me just kind of changing the formatting so it comes out nice and clean a little bit later on, but it's completely optional polish. Now with the paid plan of Zapier, this isn't something you can get in the free plan, but in the paid plan, as I would recommend, we can have it automatically integrate and run a prompt with a model of your choosing. So whether it's Claude, GPT, whatever is your favorite at the time or the LLM that you use. And we've written a prompt over here that asks us to summarize this entire call. We give it the input from the actual call over here. So we use the fields that come from the trigger. We ask it to output it with key summaries. And in particular, we want verbatim quotes that Tom shares in his responses, as well as some of the overarching principles or answers that were provided to the student's question. Now, this is where it gets really cool because now we have all of this output. This is how you can now pull together all of your answers and review them on a weekly basis. We now have the process spit out all of that summary that we have over there into a file it creates and uploads it automatically into Google Drive. I'll show that to you in just a second. And then as an optional polish, if you want, you can get it to send a Slack message. I'll show you an example of what it does. Best thing about this is this automation runs, and within about, I reckon, 5 to 10 seconds at the end of every call, I get a ping notification in Slack to tell me that it's all been summarized and added to Google Drive. So let me show you what that actually looks like. This is what we call our time to build knowledge base. And it's a series of text files that are all formatted and all updated from the calls that we have. So these are examples of Builders Club call, a couple of hot seat calls, lesson calls that we have, but I wanted to focus on the Builders Club calls in particular because you may have something similar in your community or your program. This could even just be one-on-one with your client. What it does, to give you an example, is we now have this output where it's already formatted, gives a key summary, and each of the questions where it anonymizes the student has an overarching question as well as the principles that were provided in the response and some key quotes or verbatim. Now, if you go through this entire document, as you can see over here, we've got about 9 questions that have all been formatted cleanly, and you can now use as a point of reference if you are potentially training a GPT for content idea or to pull out potential outlines for content that you have, or you can just review each of these every single week or whenever you get a reminder. And that reminder might look like this. So this is the Slack that we've got set up. I've got a Slack bot that fires from Zapier. These are obviously a few tests. So there's obviously quite a few of them I've got over here. I get this ping notification. It tells me, yep, the summary's been done. It's already been added to the Google Drive and it's there if I want to reference it, pull it up and have a look at the most recent discussion. And now the final piece to top it off is that if you have a content brainstorm or a period of every single week where you're trying to decide how many pieces of content or what content are you going to be making, whether you're short form or long form, we have a dedicated time in the calendar where we brainstorm together. This is just how a team works. But instead of now just trying to sit there scratching our head plucking with what's going on, we can actually now look back at all the recent conversations and some of the back and forths that maybe stood out for us in particular. Some where there was a lot of great student feedback, some where the student themselves said they were really appreciative and it led to a breakthrough. And if we think that's of value to other leads or prospects that represent the very same person who asked the question, then this would be a really potent piece of content we could then put in social. Now, if you want to go a step further and you record your video calls, you could potentially extract a snippet of that question that the student prompted with their consent. If it doesn't share too many details or it's not too personal and they're comfortable with it being shared, you're going to use that as a cut down in your social media content. If you already know that your answer was validated by the community, or alternatively, you can take the answer that you provided, play back what the student asked, and then record in real time an updated response that may be a little bit more polished than what you delivered the first time. And so that might look like this, where you might have a student that asks a question like this, and based on what the question was, you can split screen it and get more mileage from content you are already creating. Now, I don't think this needs to be your only content pillar going forwards. You can be more creative with that, but it's just a clever and creative way of getting more mileage from the conversations you're already having. We are looking for ways to work smarter and not harder. So rather than recreating content from the start, you've got already sitting there in front of you. So my friend, I hope this gives you an idea of how to mine for gold that's already happening on a week-to-week basis. If you want this guide or someone in your team to apply this and build this into your business, I've included a link in the description. All you need to do is share your email address. I'll flick it across to you straight away. Implement this into your business. Tell me how you went with it if you have any issues. And if I can be really honest with you, I feel like we're only scratching the surface of the possibilities of building up a bank or an index of questions and responses in the past. All I know is that your future self will be thankful that you started doing this today, because if I knew about this sooner, I would have started this cohorts ago, but here we are. Anyway, my friend, I hope this helped you.